The airport was busy, as usual. People were rushing to their gates, holding coffee in one hand and pulling suitcases with the other. Among the noise and crowd, a quiet teenage girl walked slowly toward gate A17. Her name was Maya. She was 16 years old, wearing jeans, sneakers, and a plain black hoodie. Her hair was tied in a neat bun, and she carried a small backpack. She didn't look rich. She didn't look important. But she had a first-class ticket in her hand. The airline staff at the gate looked at her with surprise. "Are you sure this is your seat?" one of them asked, scanning her ticket. "Yes," Maya said politely. "Seat 3A. The staff gave her a strange look, but nodded. "Okay, go ahead." Maya entered the plane and walked past the economy section. Passengers already seated in first class watched her closely. A few of them raised their eyebrows. A white-haired woman whispered to her husband, "She must be lost." Maya reached seat 3A and sat down quietly. She pulled out a book and started reading. She didn't look at anyone. She didn't speak. She just waited for the flight to begin. Across the aisle sat a well-dressed couple. The man wore a suit. The woman had expensive jewelry. They both stared at Maya like she didn't belong there. "Must be some kind of mistake," the man said loudly, not even trying to whisper. The woman laughed. "She probably got a free upgrade or something." "Can you imagine?" Maya heard them. She said nothing. She kept her eyes on her book, even though she wasn't really reading anymore. Soon, a flight attendant came down the aisle. She had a forced smile on her face as she stopped near Maya. "Hi there, sweetie," she said in a fake sweet voice. "Are you sure you're in the right seat?" Maya looked up. "Yes, this is seat 3A. The attendant frowned slightly. "Can I see your boarding pass?" Maya handed it to her without a word. The woman looked at it and blinked. "Oh," she said, clearly surprised. "I see." But her smile didn't return. Instead, she turned around and walked quickly toward the front of the plane. The rich man across the aisle chuckled. "She's still not staying here. Just wait." The woman nodded. "No way she belongs in first class. Maybe she's trying to sneak in." Maya's hands tightened around her book. She took a deep breath and closed her eyes. Meanwhile, the flight attendant whispered something to another crew member at the front. The second woman looked shocked and turned to the back of the plane. A few minutes later, they both returned. "Miss," the first attendant said again, "I'm sorry, but I think there's been a mistake. You might need to move to economy." Maya opened her eyes and looked at her. "There's no mistake. My mom booked this seat for me." The woman smiled awkwardly. "I'm sure she did. But you're traveling alone, right? And usually first class isn't for unaccompanied minors." Maya stayed calm. "I'm not a minor. I'm 16. And my mom flies this airline all the time." The couple across the aisle laughed again. "This is ridiculous," the man said. "Just move her already. Some of us paid real money for these seats." Maya turned to him. "So did I." The flight attendant looked uncomfortable now. "We'll double-check your ticket. Please just wait here." She walked off again, and the whispers around Maya grew louder. People were watching. Some looked confused. Others looked annoyed. Maya tried to stay strong, but her eyes filled with quiet sadness. She pulled out her phone and typed a quick message. "They're trying to remove me." Then she looked at the door of the plane. Her heart beat faster. Outside, the captain was speaking to someone on the radio. Inside, the crew seemed unsure what to do. They didn't expect someone like Maya in first class. She didn't fit the image they had in their minds. A little girl sitting a few rows back tugged on her mom's sleeve. "Mommy, why are they being mean to her?" Her mother whispered, "Don't worry, sweetie. Just read your book." But Maya heard that too. Everything. She heard it all. She looked out the window and whispered to herself, "Please come, Mom." Just then, the door to the plane opened again. A tall woman in a sharp business suit stepped in, walking with confidence and power. The energy in the cabin shifted. The whispers stopped. Even the rude couple looked up in shock. Maya smiled slightly and whispered, "She's here." Maya sat still in her seat. 3A. She tried to focus on her book, but her hands were shaking slightly. Everyone around her kept staring. Some whispered. Others looked annoyed. But Maya said nothing. She wasn't scared. She was used to people judging her. Still, this felt different. This felt cruel. The flight attendant returned with another crew member. This one wore a more serious face. She didn't smile. She stood tall, trying to look important. The first attendant, the one who had already asked Maya to move, spoke again. "Miss, I'm really sorry. But we checked, and we're not sure how this seat was assigned to you." Maya looked up calmly. "I already told you. My mom booked this for me." The second woman stepped forward. "Do you have your ticket again, please?" Maya showed it. They looked at it together. Their faces said it all. They still didn't believe her. "This is strange," said the second attendant. "It says first class, but you're alone." "Yes," Maya said. "I'm flying alone." The rude man across the aisle laughed again. "She probably found that ticket on the ground or something," he said. "No way a girl like her flies first class." His wife added, "Exactly. Look at her clothes. She doesn't even look like she belongs in this airport." Maya didn't look at them. She just stared at the flight attendants. The first one spoke softly. "Miss, I need you to come with us for a moment." "Why?" Maya asked. "We just want to check something at the front. Please." "No," Maya said clearly. "I'm not moving from my seat. I didn't do anything wrong." Passengers began to talk. Some took out their phones. A man a few rows behind started recording. He whispered to his wife, "This is going to go viral. Watch." Maya's voice stayed calm. "You can check anything you want. But I'm not leaving this seat. My mom said if something like this happens, I should not move." The attendants looked at each other. They weren't used to being told no, especially not by someone like Maya. "We can call airport security," the second one warned. Maya didn't flinch. "Okay, you can do that." The rude man leaned forward. "Oh, she's one of those. Thinks she knows her rights." His wife giggled. "She'll be off this flight in 5 minutes." Maya pulled out her phone again and sent another message. This time she typed, "They're about to call security. Please hurry." She slipped her phone back in her bag and folded her arms. More people were watching now. A man in a suit leaned over and asked the attendant, "Why are you bothering the girl? She showed her ticket, didn't she?" "We're just following protocol, sir," the second attendant said. The man replied, "It seems like you're following something else." The woman didn't answer. She just turned and walked away. Back near the cockpit, she picked up the phone and called someone. No one knew who she was talking to, but her face looked tense. She kept glancing back at Maya's seat. The captain was informed. "We have a possible seating issue. Passenger refusing to move." He frowned. "Did she pay for the seat?" "We don't know. It looks like a first-class ticket. But what? She's young and alone." The captain shook his head. "That's not a reason." Still, the plane was not moving. The flight was delayed. People began murmuring. Some were angry. "Why aren't we taking off?" One woman asked. "I have a connection flight." The air inside the plane felt heavy. The tension could be felt in every row. Maya looked out the window. The engines were silent. The flight was not leaving. All because she refused to give up her seat. Suddenly, a little boy in the row behind her leaned forward. "Hi," he whispered. "Are you okay?" Maya nodded. "I'm fine. My dad says you're brave," he said with a smile. "I think so too." Maya gave him a small smile back. "Thanks." And then, just when things felt like they couldn't get worse, the airplane door opened again. Everyone turned their heads to look. A tall woman in a dark blue suit walked in. Her heels clicked against the floor. Her face looked serious. Her eyes scanned the room like she was in charge. She was not smiling. She walked past the crew without saying a word. Her eyes were locked on Maya. The rude couple looked at her, confused. "Who is she?" the man asked. The flight attendant stepped forward. "Ma'am, passengers only beyond this point." The woman raised one eyebrow. "Do you know who I am?" The attendant paused. "I'm here for my daughter." She walked straight to Maya's seat and knelt beside her. "Are you all right, baby?" she asked gently. Maya nodded, her eyes filling with tears. "I told them. They didn't believe me." The woman stood up, turned to the attendants, and said in a calm but powerful voice, "Why did you try to move my daughter?" And in that moment, the whole plane went silent. The cabin was silent. The woman in the dark blue suit stood tall. Her eyes were sharp. Her presence was strong. People could feel that she was someone important, even if they didn't know who she was yet. She stood in front of Maya's seat and looked at the two flight attendants. "I asked a question," she said again, calm but firm. "Why did you try to move my daughter?" The attendants looked at each other, unsure what to say. Passengers were watching. Some were recording. "Well, she was alone," the first attendant said softly. "And we didn't think." "Didn't think what?" the woman asked, raising her voice just a little. "That a young black girl could sit in first class without permission." The words hit like a shockwave. The rude couple across the aisle sat frozen. The man stopped smiling. The woman looked down at her lap. The second attendant tried to explain. "We thought maybe her ticket was a mistake." "She showed you the ticket, didn't she?" the woman asked. "Yes, but you still wanted her to move," the woman finished. Her tone was calm, but her eyes were full of fire. "She told you her mother booked the seat, and instead of checking politely, you tried to remove her. In front of everyone." The flight attendants had no words. They stood frozen. The captain came out of the cockpit. He had been listening to everything. He walked slowly toward the group. "Ma'am, I'm the captain of this flight. Is there a problem here?" The woman turned to him. "Yes, there's a problem. Your crew tried to humiliate my daughter. They assumed she didn't belong here. They threatened to call security, all without checking the facts." The captain nodded slowly. "I'm very sorry to hear that. I will personally look into this." "You don't need to," the woman replied, "because I'm about to handle it myself." The captain looked confused. "And you are?" The woman smiled slightly, reached into her purse, and pulled out a silver badge. She held it up so everyone could see. "I'm the owner of this airline." Gasps filled the cabin. Passengers looked at one another in shock. Someone whispered, "She owns the airline." The rude man's mouth dropped open. His wife turned pale. Even the flight attendants took a step back. "I started this company with my own hands," the woman continued. "I've flown on every route, trained staff, and built a brand that's supposed to stand for excellence and respect. And now you embarrass my child on my own plane." No one spoke. Maya looked up at her mom with pride in her eyes. She had stayed quiet, but now everyone knew the truth. The woman turned to Maya and gently brushed a tear from her cheek. "You did good, baby. You stayed calm, just like we talked about." Maya nodded. The captain cleared his throat. "Ma'am, I again want to apologize. This is not how we train our staff to behave." "Apparently, they need more training," she replied. She looked at the two flight attendants. "What are your names?" They hesitated. The first one whispered, "Tina." The second said, "Amanda." The woman typed both names into her phone. "You're both suspended until further notice. HR will contact you before we land." They looked shocked, but didn't argue. They knew they were in the wrong. She then turned to the rude couple. "You two, do you have anything to say?" The man stuttered. We didn't know she was your daughter." The woman raised an eyebrow. "So if she wasn't my daughter, your behavior would be okay?" The man didn't answer. The woman said, "Let me make something clear. You don't get to judge who belongs where based on skin color or clothes. Not on this airline. Not anywhere." People in the cabin began clapping. A few stood and applauded. The energy had shifted. The captain stepped forward. "We are ready to take off now. Shall we begin, ma'am?" The woman nodded. "Yes. Let's fly." She turned to Maya. "I'll sit beside you. Let's enjoy the flight." They both sat together in the front row. A flight attendant who hadn't spoken yet brought them drinks and smiled politely. "Is there anything else I can get for you?" Maya looked at her mom. "No, we're fine." As the plane finally started to move, passengers settled down. But one thing was clear. This flight would be remembered forever. The plane was finally in the air. The engines hummed softly, the seatbelt lights blinked on, and the flight began like any other. But inside the cabin, the atmosphere was different. People were whispering. Some were still in shock. Others couldn't stop looking at Maya and her mother. A teenage girl sitting a few rows behind leaned over to her mom. "Is that really the airline owner?" she whispered. "Yes," her mom nodded. "And that girl is her daughter." "Wow," the girl said. "She's so cool. I wish I was that brave." Up front, Maya sat quietly beside her mother, sipping a glass of orange juice. Her hands had stopped shaking, but her heart was still heavy. Her mother, Miss Jordan, looked at her with soft eyes. "You okay?" she asked. Maya nodded. "Yeah, it hurt. How fast they judged me." Ms. Jordan sighed. "That's the world we live in, but you handled it like a queen." Maya gave a small smile, but it faded quickly. "Do people always look at you like that?" Her mom paused. "Yes, for a long time, they did. Even when I was the CEO, even when I wore suits and sat at the top table, some people still saw me as someone who didn't belong." Maya looked down. "I just wanted to read my book." "I know, baby," her mom whispered. "And you should be able to do that, without feeling judged, without being told to move." From the back of the plane, a voice called out gently, "Excuse me, Ms. Jordan." They turned to see a middle-aged black woman standing in the aisle. She wore a simple dress and glasses. "I just wanted to say thank you," the woman said, "for standing up, for showing them who you are." Ms. Jordan nodded. "Thank you." The woman added, "My daughter is watching this too. She's sitting right next to me. You made her feel powerful today." Maya smiled a little more. As the woman walked back to her seat, others started whispering louder. This time, the tone had changed. There was respect in their voices, and maybe even a little guilt. The rude couple sat quietly across the aisle. They hadn't said a word since takeoff. The man looked pale. The woman stared out the window, her arms folded. After a while, the man leaned forward. "Can I speak to you, just for a second?" he said, awkwardly. Ms. Jordan turned to him, her face calm but serious. "What is it?" "I just wanted to say, I'm sorry," the man said. His voice was quiet now, no longer loud or proud. "I judged your daughter," he continued, "and I judged you. I said some things I shouldn't have, and I was wrong." His wife added, "We both were. We made assumptions based on things we should have let go of a long time ago." There was silence. Maya looked at them, unsure what to say. But Ms. Jordan nodded. "It takes courage to apologize." The man seemed surprised. "So, you forgive us?" "I didn't say that," she replied firmly. "But I do believe people can change, if they choose to." The man nodded. "We'll try." "Good," she said. "Start by treating the next person with kindness, no matter what they look like." The couple sat back quietly. Maya turned to her mom. "Do you think they really mean it?" Ms. Jordan shrugged. "That's not our job to worry about. Our job is to stay strong, speak truth, and keep walking forward." Maya looked out the window. The clouds looked peaceful. The sun was shining. For the first time since she boarded the flight, she felt safe. A flight attendant, one who hadn't been involved earlier, came by with a smile. "Miss Maya," she said gently, "we'd like to offer you a special dessert, just a small gift from the kitchen staff." She handed over a small plate with chocolate cake and a card on top. Maya read the card. "To the young lady in 3A. You belong here. Always have, always will." Maya looked at her mom and smiled, this time for real. And the plane kept flying through the sky, carrying more than just passengers. It carried a message. The plane was halfway through its flight. The sun peeked through the windows, casting a soft golden light across the cabin. But the air inside was still heavy, not with fear anymore, but with reflection. Passengers who once looked at Maya with judgment now stole quiet glances filled with shame or admiration. Whispers had turned into thoughts. Thoughts had turned into guilt. Maya leaned her head on her mom's shoulder. "Mom." "Yes, baby." "Why didn't you tell anyone you owned the airline right away?" Ms. Jordan looked down at her daughter with a calm smile. "Because I wanted to see how they'd treat you when they didn't know." Maya's eyes widened slightly. "So you planned this?" "No, not this," her mom replied gently. "But I knew one day something like this would happen. And I wanted you to learn one thing. Who you are doesn't change based on what others think you are." Maya stayed quiet, thinking hard. Her mom continued, "You are worthy. With or without a title. With or without money. That seat was yours because we paid for it. And you deserved it, just like anyone else." Maya whispered, but it still hurt. "I know," Ms. Jordan said. "It hurts when people can't see you clearly. But what matters most is that you see yourself clearly." Just then, a young man in his 20s stood up from economy and made his way toward them. He looked nervous. "Excuse me," he said. "I don't want to bother you, but I saw everything. And I just wanted to say thank you." Ms. Jordan looked at him kindly. "Thank you for saying that." The man continued, "My little sister goes through the same stuff at her school. People judge her all the time. I'm going to show her this video. She needs to see someone like Maya. Strong and smart." Maya smiled, but shyly. "Thanks." He added, "You inspired a lot of people today. Just thought you should know." As he walked back, Maya felt something shift inside her. She had stayed strong, even when it was hard. And now others were learning from her. But the moment of calm didn't last long. Suddenly, a flight attendant walked up and leaned in toward Miss Jordan. "Ma'am, we just got a message from the airline's main office," she whispered. "There's a reporter waiting at the arrival gate. He says he knows who you are." Ms. Jordan didn't seem surprised. "Let them wait." The attendant added, "Also, someone from the board of directors called. They want to speak with you about what happened on this flight. It's spreading online fast." Maya's eyes widened. "The video?" "Yes," the flight attendant nodded. "It's already gone viral." Ms. Jordan exhaled. "I expected that. Let them see the truth." She reached into her purse and pulled out her tablet. With a few taps, she opened a message from the company board. Her screen showed several news headlines already popping up. "Black teen asked to leave first class. Turns out she's the airline CEO's daughter. Airline crew suspended after mistreating owner's daughter. Woman teaches plane passengers a lesson they'll never forget." Maya read them over her shoulder. "Mom, this is going everywhere." "I know," Ms. Jordan said softly. "And maybe that's a good thing." She looked around the cabin. Many passengers were now watching her and Maya closely, some with guilt, some with respect, and some with deep thought. "We don't change the world by shouting," Ms. Jordan whispered to Maya. "We change it by standing tall when it matters most." The captain came over again, his face more serious this time. "Ma'am, we've just been informed there will be reporters at the gate, and a few high-level staff members are already waiting. I wanted to ask if you'd like to deboard privately." Ms. Jordan shook her head. No, we'll walk out the front, just like we walked in. The captain nodded. Understood. As he walked away, Maya felt her heart beating faster. Are you nervous? She asked her mom. Ms. Jordan smiled. Never. Maya looked down at her book. The one she'd been trying to read before all of this started. She opened it slowly. But this time, she wasn't reading to escape. She was reading because she could, because she had claimed her place. And just then, a little girl walked down the aisle with her mom. She stopped beside Maya and held up a drawing, a crayon picture of Maya sitting in a plane seat with a crown on her head. This is for you, the girl said shyly. Maya took it with teary eyes. Thank you. The little girl's mom added softly, she says you're a queen. Maya looked at her mom. Ms. Jordan whispered, she's right. And as the plane began its descent, everyone sat a little quieter, a little humbler, and a lot more aware than when they first boarded. This wasn't just a flight anymore. It was a lesson flying at 30,000 feet.